Hey guys, SUNSfan here with a new video. I said I was going to make a couple. This one is catered towards people that have literally never played Artifact ever. So it's going to be extremely basic, but I think it's a very important starting point for people that have just never played. You could have played other card games, so you might want to skip ahead, but let's talk about the very basics of Artifact. So this is Artifact Foundry. It's the 2.0 version of the original. It's free to play, and you can download the link in the description to do so. There are two modes. If you click on versus humans here, you can see there's a live draft and then constructed. Essentially, the difference is constructed, you need to create your own deck of your own cards, and draft, you just draft the heroes, and then the deck itself is made for you randomly. I would highly recommend, if you're going to play for the first time, that you do draft instead. So let's talk about some of the cards, and then I'm going to go over the board in kind of like a game against a bot or something like that. So first things first, there are 4 colors in the game that you need to worry about. If you look up here, there's red, blue, black, and green. Each color kind of represents a different kind of play style. And of course, there's some overlap, but we're going to be a little bit more basic here. For red, it's kind of tankier. You can battle. You can just beat stuff up, essentially. Blue, a little bit weaker in terms of like the bodies of the creatures that you're going to be putting down. But you'll have a lot of spell damage that you can put out. Black, you can kind of move around a lot and you deal a lot of physical damage. And then green is kind of like this. You can heal up a little bit, but you can also put a ton of creatures on board to kind of expand the wave. So let's talk about what kind of cards are in the game itself, just to give you the basic overview. So we'll get to heroes last because they're the most interesting. There are 3 types of cards that you will play in the game of, well, I should say technically 4 cards you can play. One of them is items, which we'll go over in a minute, but the 3 that you're playing on a regular basis are creeps, spells, and tower enchantments. So if I click on creeps here, you can see that every single color has them. And we'll talk about the significance of the colors as well, like when you're actually playing, like why you even need to have these to begin with when the game starts. But creatures are pretty simple. This is the mana cost, so hopefully you know what that means at least. But essentially, this is how much mana you need to play a card. And they're called creeps. They're essentially just some sort of creature with a stat line, and sometimes they do something, right? So we can just take example here. This is a 3 mana Smeevil Arms Master. That's the name of the creature. Has 3 attack, 2 health, and then it happens to do something else as well. So whenever one of your units deals physical damage to an enemy in that specific lane, which again we'll get to, it'll give them 1 damage permanently. So this would have to stay alive for it to actually do something. Just giving examples of another creature. Creep, I keep calling it creature. I don't know why. Let's try an easy one. Okay, so Oglody Vandal. This is a black creep for 4 mana. It deals 3 attack and has 2 health. We won't talk about what Pillager is. It's not that important. But when you play this, it'll deal 1 damage to the enemy tower, which are the structures that you need to go for. Okay. There are some every single creep in the game does something for the most part. It'll have something to go along with it. This is like a really big creep for green. It's called Emissary of the Quorum. Emissary of the Quorum. It's 6 mana, which is quite a bit. 2 health, 2 attack, 8 health, which is a lot. And it comes with an active ability where if you hit it, you can do this every round. That's what the active means, with 1 round cooldown. It gives all your other allies in the lane 2 attack and 2 health permanently. So this is very strong. I guess the one that we didn't go over was blue. What's a basic one for blue? I don't know if they even have one. Okay, we can talk about this. Agent of Clazareem. It's a 2 mana creep with a 1/3 stat line. And when you play it, it gives all item cards in your opponent's hand +1 lock. And again, there's a lot of mechanics in the game, so I'm not going to go over everything. But lock essentially means that you just can't play it. So for 1 round. There's not that. Artifact 1 had a lot of this, which people didn't like. This one's very basic. So those are creeps. Next are spells, which essentially just mean, let me just take off blue so you can see all of them. They do something immediately for the most part. So Lightning Strike for blue, 1 mana only, deals 4 piercing damage to caster's combat target. So it just goes ahead for 4 damage straight up. Time of Triumph, one of the big boy red spells. It's now 9 mana. Gives your heroes, again, we don't need to worry about the mechanics, gives them a shit ton of stats, like makes them a lot tankier and do a lot of damage. Pick off, sure. This is a 3-mana spell for black. You choose your caster, and then you deal 2 damage to a unit in another lane. And again, we'll talk about lanes in a minute. Or you can deal 4 damage to a unit that's in your lane currently. And then last but not least, green, which I said have the big boy creeps, or for the most part, yeah, they have the big boy creeps, but these are spells. Divine Intervention, 4-mana spell, gives all your allies in the lane that you're in damage immunity. And then the last type of card before we get to the items are tower enchantments. So these are things that you attach to your tower. And again, we'll go over the lane, but there's going to be 3 lanes with a tower in each one. You essentially just attach this thing to your tower and it just won't go anywhere. It'll do something. Some of them you can activate. Some of them will just do it automatically. There are some spells that can get rid of the opponent's tower enchantments, but let's just look as an example. So Burning Oil, a 1-mana tower enchantment for red, has 2 retaliate. So that just means if anything attacks your tower, they're going to take 2 damage. Conflagration, a 5-mana tower enchantment for blue. At the beginning of every round, you will deal 2 damage to every enemy unit in that lane. So this one's pretty strong. Trebuchet, one of my favorite, a classic black tower enchantment. You deal 2 piercing damage to the enemy tower during the combat phase, which is kind of like the end of the round, essentially. And then an example of green, Path of the Dreamer, 2-mana tower enchantments. Whenever you play a card that's not an item, while this is an enchantment for you, your tower will gain 2 health permanently. So it's a way to kind of heal up. So let's talk about items. And then we'll get to heroes, and then we'll get into a game. So items, and again, I know this is kind of going backwards. I'm not really going off of notes, so hopefully you can forgive me. Every hero in the game has 2 slots that you can put an item onto. So after every round, you're collecting gold by killing stuff, and then you're able to go to a shopping phase where you can buy certain items. And you can equip them onto heroes only. So if we go to the item, you can see that there's different types. There's weapons, armor, health, and then consumables. So we'll just do like one example for each. So as you can imagine, like these are pretty straightforward, that they give you stats in some capacity, but they also do extra stuff. So an example is Blink Dagger. This is technically an attack item. So you can see it's 25 gold. You get 2 attack, and you can activate it every 2 rounds if you want. It has a 2-round cooldown essentially, and it'll allow you to move your hero to an adjacent lane. So this allows you to kind of move around a bit. Then we get to an armor one, Seraphim Shield. This, don't worry about the mana cost too much. We'll get to that when we go over the actual shopping phase in a game. This is 25 gold. It gives you 4 armor, 4 health, 4 regeneration, which means at the end of the combat phase you will regenerate a bit. Health item, this is a pretty basic one, Stonehall Cloak. It's only 10 gold. It gives you 3 health, and then after every combat phase, so essentially the end of the round, if you survive, you'll gain 1 HP. So it kind of ramps up over time. And then consumables, there's only 2 in the game, but they're pretty basic. This is Strength Potion Twin Pack, 15 gold. You'll get an extra copy of this, so if you buy it, you get 2. You can give an allied unit 3 attack that lasts for 2 rounds, and it'll heal them immediately for 2. So those are all the types of cards. And if you want to make, again, I don't want to go over deck creation because I think Constructed is more complicated than Draft. So I want to just do a very basic draft game. We're going to do live draft against bots. So this, and there's another video that I made on the channel that goes over like when I play a real game against a non-bot, but I want to take my time here to explain like the super basic stuff. So this is the pick phase. It's called Hero Draft. So we're essentially just choosing our heroes, and you can only have 5. So the 6th one is kind of like a discard. So you can use this as, you know, get rid of a crappy hero that you picked up that you don't like or doesn't fit your composition. Or if you think that the other player is going to pick something important that they might want, you can take it away. So as you can see by the arrows here, it's kind of a back and forth. And then when it says the new pack here, you get brand new heroes. So So right here, I'm going to take Earthshaker, actually. I will play blue for once. Blue and something. Oh, man, I got Kana. I'm not going to play Kana, though. That's too cheap, even against bots. Let's do Bounty Hunter. Sure. So when you're picking heroes, you need to make sure that you pick... so there's two. I would recommend two ways to play. You can do monocolor, which is only one, which is kind of what this bot is doing. Or you can do two. That's the most common. That's what I would recommend. Technically, you could do tricolor. Technically, you could do rainbow. Not necessarily very good, but yeah. I might do tricolor just to show off some of the different heroes. So we're going to pick Darkseer, I guess. Sure, let's... You know, we're probably going to lose this game against a bot because I want to show all the colors. So let's do that. So this, I would not recommend this. This is terrible. So he's going black-green. Okay, that's good. I will take... Okay, Death Prophet is kind of a cool hero. So let's take her. And Rick's Oathbound. I'm not going to actually play him because I want to do... This is probably not a good hero to show you guys, but... Okay, so I picked 6 heroes. He's picked his 6. Now I get to rearrange how I want to actually have them come out because when the game first starts, only 3 of them will begin the game. So I need to figure out what heroes work best at the beginning of the game. So something I did not mention yet is every hero comes with certain cards, okay? So Earthshaker. He has a signature card, Echo Slam, 6 mana. It's a spell. Deal damage to each enemy equal to double the number of enemies. So we'll talk about what that means when the game starts, but it does a lot of damage. It's a big like kaboom, just like you would expect in Dota 1. He also has a passive, which I don't want to go over every single ability, but most heroes have either 1 or, in a lot of cases, as you can see here, 2 abilities. So Bounty Hunter is a hero that I definitely want to start because he has a passive called Track. And if I deploy my hero in front of another hero, it'll track them, okay? And track targets will allow Bounty Hunter to deal 3 more damage. So if he's in front of a hero, he's effectively doing 7 damage. And if I kill them, I get 5 more gold because if you kill heroes, it's 5 gold. If you kill creeps, it's 1. So if they're tracked and I'm killing a tracked hero, it gives 10 gold. It's pretty good. And then, well, we don't need to talk about his signature card. So we just want to start out with, okay, apparently there's a time limit that I wasn't aware of. So we just start with whatever we have. So these are his 5, these are mine. And then we get on to the board. I don't think there's a time limit in the game though. So hopefully that's the case. So this is what the board looks like. As you can see, there are melee creeps that spawn on the left side. They're just 1/1s, and they kind of cancel each other out every round. There's a way to boost them up or to kill their creeps, and that would allow your kind of creep wave to expand, as it were. Each lane has 5 slots that you can go to, so there's only 5 units possible in each respective lane. Now, the goal of the game, you might ask, is like, what the hell are you supposed to do? It's just like Dota. You want to kill their ancient, or in this case, you kill 2 towers. So these things that have 30 on them are towers, and you want to kill 2 of them, or you can kill the ancient. So if you kill 1, you'll see this when I inevitably win this game, hopefully. When you kill 1, the ancient becomes exposed, and you can kind of go for the tower again after that. So you either go for the same lane twice, or you get 2 separate towers. So let's talk about the deployment. We have 5 heroes. You can see on these indicators here who the highlighted ones are that are coming out first. And we're essentially going to be putting 1 hero in each lane. So we're going to start with mid. It's kind of a blind pick here. So he's going to put something down, and I'm going to put something down. I won't be able to see it until I've locked it in. So I'm just going to put Darkseer here. So mid lane is a little bit different on the first deployment of the game. You can only choose 3 slots. So we're going to put him down, and Wyvern was put on the right side. So now I'm going into my off lane, as we'll call it, which will be his safe lane. And this will be my safe lane and his off lane. So that just means I will be able to put... Remember when I said Bounty Hunter wants to be in front of a hero? Well, I can ensure that that happens round 1 over here. So since it's my off lane, I'm just going to put Earthshaker wherever. Looks like Shadow Fiend is here. So, and again, like I said, mid lane was the weird one where you only get 3 slots for the first deployment. The rest have 5. So I can theoretically even replace my creep or go anywhere here. But I'm going to go right in front of Shadow Fiend, and we're going to confirm. Okay, so now the round begins. You can see there's a coin, which you can't see now, that's behind my face. But that just essentially means whose turn it is, okay? So he played a Courier. This is a 0 mana cost card that every deck comes with now. It just lets you play an item for no mana cost because everything in this game costs mana. Your cards, your items, your abilities, everything costs mana. So what's happening now, and this is kind of how the game works, each of us started with 3 mana on the first turn, and then after the round is over, the round will start anew, and it'll gain 1 mana point. So it just keeps ramping up slowly, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And when we play cards, he plays one, I play one. He plays one, I play one. We just go back and forth until either we're both out of mana or both of us pass, which is what this... Oh, you can't see that. Whatever. There's a pass button over my face. So he put a Tower Enchantment down for 1 mana, so he still has 2 to work with. And I can kind of do whatever I want. So the way that this works is when we're both done playing cards, a combat phase initiates, all right? So, for instance, you can see beforehand how much damage everything is taking. So I'm taking 4 damage from Shadow Fiend, and he's taking 7 from me because of the track. So essentially, at the end of the round when we're both done, everything will just collapse on itself. Everything will attack straight ahead and deal damage accordingly. So in this lane, Darkseer will hit the tower. His Wyvern will hit mine. You can see the -4. And then the same is taking place in this third lane. And something that they did change from Artifact 1, not that this is important for you, but the combat phase actually alternates. So this is going to be, and again, when we go to the combat phase, you'll see. This will be the first lane that goes to combat phase, then it'll go to this one, then it'll go to this one. And then the next round, it'll be vice versa. It just goes back and forth. You can tell by which way the river is flowing. You can see it's flowing nicely. The arrow here is another way to look, or to see the indicator where it says first, second, third. So with that in mind, let's play a card. We only have 3 mana. These cards are not great, not going to lie. I'm going to put an Ion Shell, which is Darkseer's signature, onto himself. So this will give me 3 Retaliate, which means if somebody attacks me, they will take 3 damage. But it also taunts. So taunting, remember when I said Darkseer is hitting ahead, Wyvern is hitting below. I'm going to use this, and I will taunt. So Wyvern and anything, if there's any other unit in this area, would deal damage to me, right? But he used his escape route, Tower Enchantment, to move over to the other lane. So we're just going to chill. 1, 2, 3, like I was saying. Bounty Hunter got a ton of gold for that kill. You can see 28 gold. So the round ends, and now we're at the shopping phase. So the shopping phase, typically like the beginning of the game, you can see by this level indicator, we're only at level 1. Upgrading is free. It just means you get more expensive items. And since I have a lot of gold, since I have Bounty on my team, I can upgrade and see what I have under here. Okay, we have Infernal Amulet, which I'm a huge fan of. Well, we can discuss what it does after I buy it. So I bought it, and I'm only at 8 gold, so I'm just going to hit continue. And now we go to the second round, where we both will have 4 mana, and our 4th hero that we selected will be available to deploy now, and I can go to any lane I want. I should also mention, we killed Shadow Fiend. You can see that he's in the fountain right now. When you kill a hero, they have to wait 1 round, and then they'll come back the next after. So it takes them 2 rounds to come back. There are some exceptions to this, but not in this particular game. So Dragon Knight, I will put him in this lane. So something that I somehow failed to mention. Again, this game can be complicated, and it's a little bit difficult to explain. Using cards, you can see right now my hand is only black, right? So, well, for the most part, there's 1 blue card. But you need a hero of that color in a specific lane in order to play them, right? So every round we're gonna draw either 1 or 2 cards. So I'm gonna get a couple more. but essentially like 3 out of the 4 cards in my hand that are not this item, I can only use in this lane because this is my only black hero, right? We're going to put Dragon Knight right in front of Sniper. So let's do that. And like I said, we have 4 mana now. And we get a new card. This is a creep for green that is not super helpful for us. So it is my turn first because I have initiative. And I know that he can actually kill Bounty Hunter right away because there's an ability for Dazzle called Shadow Wave, which works similarly in Dota, where you can heal and it'll bounce left and right, and it'll deal damage to enemies as well. So he actually will be able to kill me. So first thing I want to do is play my item, which gives me 6 health immediately. So you can see that I can put it on any hero, and it is free for the first one every round because of my courier. And every hero has these 2 slots, and it doesn't really matter which one you put it in. So this will give me 6 health initially. So it'll allow me to live. He's going to use a card that gives him a little bit of regeneration and attack. So it looks like Earthshaker will die in this engagement. Something else this item does, and again, pretty much every item does something. Some of them have active abilities, some of them are just passive. This one's passive. So in addition to give me 6 health, it'll also deal 1 piercing damage to adjacent enemies. So adjacent enemies essentially means 1, 2, 3. So obviously there's no unit here, so nothing will happen. But beginning of the round, it'll deal 1 damage. This is really good for like killing their creeps and then expanding your wave, essentially. Okay, so we have 4 gold. He only has 1 mana. He can play an item for free, which we can see is this golden item here. And he has his active for Wyvern. We'll see if he activates that or not. And trying to think if there's even a good play here. See, I have a black hero coming in. This is a very poopy hand, I won't lie. All right, we'll see if Wyvern wants to actually expend this. So I'm going to put a creep down called Rebel Decoy. It's a 1/3. And it has an active ability that will allow me to swap a unit with it.
I'll get their attention.
So I put it down. That was 2 of my 4 mana. Looks like he's going to use his last point of mana on the heal here, which is actually enough to kill me, which is very sad. So it looks like I'm going to die through combat, unfortunately. I still have 2 mana, and I'm going to use Rebel Decoy's active here to swap him out, and he will sacrifice himself. So this allows Earthshaker to live. So he has actually a second item here. This is the one I was talking about where he gets a second version of it. So he gives him more attack, and he healed, although he wasn't really damaged, so it didn't really matter there. And I will live with 1 HP. And you might be asking, why is 6 damage not killing 5 health? Well, that's because I have Dragon Blood, a passive 2 regen. So I mean, let's just say he had a spell that did 5 damage right now, right? He would be able to kill me. But because we're going to the combat phase, I will regen 2 additional HP. So thus will live. Now, the important thing to note here, this is really important. I have the initiative right now. I will be going first if I just pass right now, right? In the next turn. This is really important because he will have this ability off cooldown called Headshot for Sniper, which allows him to deal straight up 4 damage. And as we can see, I will only have 1 HP. So he'll be able to kill either one of these guys. So by keeping my initiative, it allows me to potentially play something that saves me. But we'll see if that ends up being the case. Okay. You can see that his wave is expanding because he killed my 1 creep there. Okay. So I'm going to take this cloak. We only have 10 gold anyway. Gives me 3 HP. So I'm going to do something that hopefully is not too advanced. It's called bouncing. So I'm in the deployment phase. And if I put Death Prophet on top of my unit here, which is a hero, Dragon Knight, Dragon Knight will just be sent back to the fountain to fully heal. So this guy doesn't get any gold for it. So it just pretty much saves Dragon Knight. And the cool thing about Miss Death Prophet is she has a passive called Spirit Siphon. The beginning of the round, she'll deal 2 damage to the unit blocking her, and then she'll gain 2 regeneration for that round. So by the pure fact that I'm doing this means that Sniper will die, unless he also bounces Sniper. So let's do this. Okay. The round begins, and Sniper will die. There we go. Okay. So obviously I don't know exactly what's in his hand, but if I want, like let's say he had a spell to potentially do 2 damage to Earthshaker, I can just start out the round with the Stonehall Cloak. So I go from 2 HP to 5, and if I live for each round, I will gain 1 more HP because of this item. But he uses his Arctic Burn, which is the Wyvern ability, and he'll be able to get this kill now. However, let me see. This one is not good now, is it? Give a unit -3 attack. It battles its adjacent enemies. So sadly, this would kill all my units, but it would kill him as well. I guess we just let him chill. As you can see, we have 0 red cards. This is why you don't draft rainbow decks. I guess we can do this. So this is one of these like dual color cards, kind of. It's a 2 mana black spell called Burning Legions. You can give an enemy 2 decay, which is kind of like the opposite of regeneration. You just take 2 extra damage at the end of combat, and it goes through armor. And if you have a blue hero, which we do right now, it'll deal piercing damage to each enemy equal to their decay. So that's kind of cool. So he's at 4 health, and in theory, I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter that much, but he will die regardless, as he takes 2 damage initially there, along with that creep. Okay, that. All right, the bot is very bad. So he actually used escape route on Shadow Fiend, and this is not bouncing. If it's in the middle of the round, it actually is killing your unit. So I still got that gold. So this is not ideal for him. That was kind of weird. Okay, I guess I'm just chilling. My hand is atrocious because I have a rainbow deck. I have a good hand for black, though, if we get to late game, which we're getting to soon. All right, so we just pass. He's playing a bunch of stuff. Oh my, he's going ham in that lane. So we're taking a ton of damage in this lane right now. So again, 1, 2, 3, and then you'll see in the following round, it'll say 3, 2, 1. So it'll go backwards. And this is really important for when you're trying to get lethal on towers, because you got to race them to the second tower, right? As you can see, we have no gold to buy any of these, so we just have to skip, which does give us 5 gold, so that's kind of nice. All right, let's think about this. We want to put Bounty Hunter here because he will apply Track to Dazzle. And in addition, we talked about at the beginning of the round, this item deals 1 piercing damage to adjacent enemies. So both these creeps are dead. So that's really good. And Dragon Knight I will actually put in this lane because I want to activate his active ability, which turns me into a dragon. So we'll do that. He didn't have any heroes to deploy this time around. You can see the damage there. Beautiful. Very easy. Okay. So let's see. What do we want to do here? So I want to activate this at some point. That's 1 mana, so we can use 5 mana here. Which basically means, I don't want to explain all the cards. This one's kind of garbage. It means I can either use this or this. So this will allow me to kill somebody straight up, which could be good. And this one will allow me to just stun, which might be better, actually. So this is Dragon Knight's signature card. Something that I kind of glossed over, but I know a lot of newer players get confused by. So just because this is this hero's signature card, it doesn't mean only Dragon Knight can use it. It's any green hero in the lane. So this stuns and deals 2 damage to an adjacent enemy. So we're going to stun Mr. Shadow Fiend. Now, technically, I need a green hero to cast this, right? But it doesn't have to be the green hero that actually casts it. Does that make sense? Because it says it can stun and deal 2 damage to an adjacent enemy. So there's no adjacent enemies for Dragon Knight, but Death Prophet does have an adjacent enemy. So she's casting this, technically, but she wouldn't be able to cast it without Dragon Knight in the lane, okay? So we deal 2 damage, and we stun him, which effectively means he does not do anything now. He can't do anything with black. But now that Mr. Treant has TP'd over, he can cast black cards again, but he won't be able to attack this round or use his active ability. So I think with that, we could use Knives in the Dark, but I don't really want to. I'm just going to activate my dragon form. So I can use this every 3 rounds. It transforms me into a dragon for 2 rounds. And while in dragon form, I get 2 extra attack. I have 2 cleave, which just means I deal damage to units that are adjacent to me, which right now are none. And I deal 2 extra damage to tower, so that effectively the 2 plus 2 ends up being 4. And anything I damage, so it could be a unit or the tower, will get 2 decay for 2 rounds. So that's, again, 2 extra damage on top of that. So there we go. Ooh, he cast actually a really good card. That is Dazzle's card. It's called Weave. It's a tower enchantment, so it's just attached to the tower. This one will expire after 3 rounds, but it gives every ally in the lane 1 armor, and then every base, it gives 1 armor, and every enemy, as you can see, -1 armor. And then that keeps going up. So next round is going to be 2 armor for him and -2 for me. And the round after, which is the last one it'll be up, is 3 and -3. So I guess we can talk a little bit about armor right now. The best way to think about armor is either negative or extra HP. So he is dealing 2 damage to me right now, right? But because I have -1 armor, it's 2 plus 1. Or you can look at it like I have 3 HP, but -1 armor, so that means I basically have 2 HP for this purpose, right? So we can't really do anything. This card is so bad. Whenever any player plays a card from this lane, burn 2 of their mana. So it screws me over as well, which I don't really want. So I'm just going to pass. I can just get my initiative back here. He's put a very good item on Shadow Fiend. It gives him a little extra HP, and it'll allow him to go back to the fountain so he can redeploy wherever he wants. So now he's going to have 3 heroes to redeploy, and I only have Earthshaker with only 1 garbage blue card to play even. So Death Prophet dies, sadly. But Dragon Knight, he's good at pushing towers, so he can solo this lane for a little bit. All right, we have 30 gold, and these are 20 gold items, so I can upgrade to tier 3, see what we get. This one is too expensive for me to buy now, so I can either save, or I can buy something that will allow me to do more damage to the tower. So, as per norm, since this is against the bot, we'll play greedy. Just going to continue. Okay. Earthshaker, where do you want to go, my friend? We have 7 mana. This is a tough one. All right, I'm just going to put Earthshaker here. Whatever. He's got 3 heroes now. Again, don't copy what the bot is doing. These are not good plays. Knives in the Dark still does not get me a kill, so we got to pass on that. So remember, deal 4 damage to another unit within 5 range. So he can actually kill my Dragon Knight because it's 4 damage, and I effectively have 3 HP right now, and I have no real way to save him because we have 0 green cards. So with that in mind, I'm just going to put down a random creep since I don't really have a good hand at all. This one's a really interesting one. 4 mana, it's only a 2/2, and it basically just can't die. It'll just keep respawning over and over, and then every round it'll move over to the next lane. And the beginning of every round, it'll actually battle the unit in front of it. So it's a very sticky unit, I guess you could say. So there's the active ability from Sniper, so Dragon Knight is done. Let's see. What do I want to do here? I guess I'll just play something. So I'm just playing a random tower enchantment that doesn't really help me too much, but if any units deal physical damage to, if they just deal damage in the combat phase, they'll gain stats, essentially. But the problem is I'm only hitting the tower, so it doesn't really do anything. And I'm not going to explain every single thing that he's doing, but I'm out of mana, so it's just auto-passing for me over and over. Ooh. Okay, I'm taking extra damage here. And escape routing. All right, so this tower is in a lot of trouble. All right, so the combat phase commences. We have a lot of gold now, though. Oh, actually, we're 1 gold short. We didn't get enough. Shoot. That actually really sucks. If we get the sheep stick in the shop again, and we did. All right, I'll play greedy for... Oh my god, if I lose this game, that'd be hilarious. Blake, play greedy for 1 more round. All right, so we have Death Prophet, and I have 8 mana, and I have Exorcism. I'm actually just going to do it. So 2 black heroes in the same lane, generally not that good, since especially in this deck, because I don't have any other cards. But regardless, we get to go first, so I can talk about what Exorcism does. So Death Prophet in front of a hero deals 2 damage, and then the 1 damage from the item on Bounty Hunter. So that's good. All right. So Exorcism is Death Prophet's card. It costs 8 mana, which is everything I have, but it is super good. So when I play it, it'll modify my hero forever. Okay. It'll give me, this is just a byproduct, it'll give me 3 regeneration, which is whatever. And then in addition, when I play it, it'll deal 12 damage evenly divided among adjacent enemies and the tower. So 12 damage divided by, in this case, 1 unit and the tower. So it's going to deal 6 damage to this hero, 6 damage to the tower. If there were more units, it would divide by even more. So if there's a 1 here, it would be 4 to each. If there was completely full, it would deal 3 to everything. Now, the crazy part about it is it does this at the beginning of every single round. This is a late game monster card. Boom. So now he really has to deal with this lane. Looks like I have control of it. Oh boy. He can kill whatever unit he wants. And he chose to kill that one. Interesting choice. Not the Death Prophet, but sure. As we continue to autopass. This might be a little confusing because I have no mana to use, so it's just auto-passing, so it's just playing super fast. Okay, so we were able to survive in this lane with 1 HP, so that's really good, because when you kill a tower, you get a free item, 1-use item, called a TP scroll, which allows you to move 1 hero to an adjacent lane. So at this stage, what we're really doing, we're probably going to win this lane, he's going to win this lane, I'm trying to save or win this one, right? That's important. Now, in theory, I can go for the Ancient here. He can go for the Ancient here, but we'll see. So I have 45 gold, which is more than enough for the sheep stick, but I'm looking in my deck now to see what my really expensive ones are. And I actually have Horn of the Alpha. So I'm going to upgrade again, and I got it. So 40 gold item, Horn of the Alpha, very strong. Let's take a look. We have 1 hero coming in. So because this one, remember, Death Prophet has Exorcism. So, in fact, he doesn't have any heroes coming in. He has 1 hero here, 3 heroes here, and his Shadow Fiend is still dead. So, Exorcism will go off. And remember, it's evenly divided, and there's 0 units here. So, it's actually going to kill the tower right away. So, I can move 1 of these heroes. So, we're going to go here. I have my dragon form up, actually. So, I want to be open to hit the tower. We're going to confirm. So you can see the Exorcism go off right away. 12 damage. Boom! Okay. Now, I can choose to move somebody over, or I can just chill and continue to go for the Ancient next round. So when you kill the tower, you can see this little bubble on it. This means I can't damage it anymore this round, even though I killed it at the beginning. So we can't go for the Ancient yet. We have to wait for next round. So for this round, we have our Dragon Tail again. So we can just use it to stun this guy. So now he can't cast anything in this lane. That's super helpful. So let's do that. And I might have just won the game now, because typically it's really hard to move heroes from one lane to another. This one only lets Wyvern move 3 range away, so you can only go over here. So I think I'm just going to win here. We're going to pop our dragon form, doing extra damage to the tower. All right, he moved. Again, would not recommend doing what the bot does, but he will move that here or there for some reason, even though it's stunned. And I guess we can win in style. We'll go with our item. So let's put the Horn of the Alpha on Darkseer. This gives you 6 health. And it gives you an ability that you can use every 2 rounds, which is summon a Thunderhide pack. So it's a creep. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm just going to put it in this slot. And as you can see, it is a giant creep. So I can pass now and we win, but I want to actually use everything just for fun. We can blink scroll our Death Prophet over if we want. So that's what the blink scroll does. Darkseer's vacuum is cool. You choose a slot and you deal 1 damage to enemies in the lane and then pull them towards the target slot. So you can kind of move things around, but in this case, obviously, it doesn't matter. It'll just kill these 2 creeps. It also gives me, this is a good time to talk about it, gives me quick cast, which effectively means I can just play something right away. So I can play 2 things in a row. And we're just going to, I mean, it's just a creep, whatever. All right. And we shall win the game, because we are getting our 2nd tower. Even if he had gotten this tower first, it wouldn't have mattered. We still win the game. So that is Artifact in a nutshell. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing. Again, every hero has different abilities and different signature cards that come with them. See if there's any heroes that we want to talk about that would be kind of interesting. I guess I can go over a couple of heroes that are just really good, just to give you an idea of what they do. For draft especially, I think Timbersaw is extremely good. He can use his Timber Chain to kind of move around from lane to lane, which again, in draft, that's the most important concept you can learn, or you can have, is to be able to move around from lane to lane. And then his card will not only allow you to deal direct damage, but lower the damage of your opponents. So that's pretty cool. You saw Darkseer. Beastmaster, kind of boring, but he's really good. He can create a boar every couple rounds that looks like this. It's a 1/2, but if they neighbor him, they gain 2/2, and he will also gain 2 attack per loyal beast. And then his card essentially just allows you to stun. All right. And if we go to blue, I'll just go over a couple of heroes for blue. This is... Lena's a really cool hero. So her signature card, she actually has 3 separate ones. You only get 1 copy of each. One is a 2-mana spell. You stun a unit and then deal 1 damage to it. This one is a 3-mana spell. Deal 3 piercing damage. And piercing just means you ignore armor to an enemy unit. And then 1 piercing to damage its allied neighbors. And then a 4-mana spell, Laguna Blade, deal 5 piercing damage to a unit. So a lot of killing potential for her. But as you can see from the stat line, blue heroes are pretty weak in the stat department. She's only a 2/5, but her Fiery Soul passive is insane. So when you play a spell or enchantment, so not a creep, not an item, the other 2 types of cards, if you cast it from Lena's lane, she will deal damage whatever's in front of her, whether it be a tower or a unit, based on how many charges you have on Fiery Soul. So I believe this... Oh, man, I'm an idiot. I haven't played a lot of this here. I think it starts with 2 charges, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, it ramps up every round, and you never lose it. So if, like, in the late game, you play a card, you'll have, like, 8 charges. It'll literally deal 8 damage in front of you. It's really cool. We can talk about a newer hero, I guess. Who's a cooler one? Imperia? Sure. Okay. Imperia is a 2/6, and she has 2 skills. One of them is a passive. We can talk about her active first. Skullduggery. You can discard an item or a card in the enemy's hand. Of course, you can't see what their hand is at first, so you have to guess. And it discards it. It just destroys the card, and then it replaces it with a new one. So they draw a new card, but then you see what that card is. It's basically, that's what it means by it's revealed to you. And then her passive obviously directly synergizes with that. Whenever you reveal an opponent's card, you will get attack equal to the mana cost of those cards. So this hero gets a lot of attack. And then her signature is a creep. It's a 1 mana, 1/3 that has Devour and Feeble. Devour is the only one we'll talk about here. You put this on top of a unit and it gains its stats in addition to the 1/3. So it can become a monstrous card. You can actually put it on top of Imperia after she's been buffed from her active. That's very common because you only get the active, or you only get the extra damage for 1 round, as opposed to if you use this on top of her, you kill yourself, but then you get that massive damage forever. And then whenever it kills a unit, or devours it in that case, you reveal more cards. So you can see the synergy there. Black, you saw Death Prophet. Who are the cool, interesting ones? Rix is... Okay, we'll talk about Rix and Shadow Fiend, since we did see Shadow Fiend here. So Shadow Fiend's card, Presence of the Dark Lord, it's a 3-mana spell. Enchant Caster, which means you will modify the hero forever. Anything adjacent to that unit will have -2 armor for the rest of the game. So really strong. And Shadow Fiend is a 3/5 and has a passive, Necromastery, and an active. So Necromastery will give you... It'll basically just be charge-based. So whenever an adjacent enemy will die, so if something dies near you, it'll add a charge to Requiem. So similar to Dota. And if you die, you lose half of them. I think you start with 1 charge to start the game. So he's actually kind of a 4/5. And then as the charges go up, you can hit Requiem of Souls, which will expend all the charges, kind of. You won't lose them in terms of the damage, but you will use them in terms of the... Like, it'll deal 1 damage that many times to random targets. So in conjunction with Presence of the Dark Lord, it'll deal a lot of damage. Rix, this... Would not recommend this for draft normally unless you're kind of advanced. This is a extremely unique hero. He is a 3/3 that has 2 passives, pretty much. One is called a continuous effect, but it's essentially a passive. He basically has 3 extra attacks, so he's really just a 6/3, and he's silenced, so he cannot actually cast anything. So you need another hero in the lane to cast something with. That's the big issue with this hero. He also comes with the Assault passive, which gives him rapid deployment. So this means if he dies, he will come back the next round. You can redeploy him. So you don't have to wait that 2 round. But it does have a 2-round cooldown. So you can't just keep dying literally every round. And then what makes him extremely cool is his signature card, which is a Tower Enchantment. You can use it every 2 rounds. You choose an ally. It strikes the enemy tower, and you slay the ally. So you kill something of your own, but it attacks the tower. So it's a good finishing move for towers. Very cool design hero. And I guess green would be the last one. So who are the cool ones? Lady Anshu. We can do some new heroes. She is a 4/4 unit that has a passive similar to Rix. She will come back to life the next round, rapid deployment with the same 2-round cooldown. In addition, though, when she dies, she will give everything in that lane that survived 2 health permanently. And then her card is a spell, Slay Caster. So a lot of times you want it to be her, but it doesn't have to be. So that's a way to kind of activate that 2 HP buff. So you kill her, and then everything that's in your fountain, so all the heroes will automatically be put into play immediately. So this is a really, really cool card, and it's some very swingy games for sure. You saw Dragon Knight. We talked about Underlord in our other game. We talked about Tiny as well. I guess we can talk about Sand King. He's pretty solid in draft. He's a 3/7, so pretty good stats. And he has the active Burrow Strike. You can use it every 3 rounds. It allows you to move up to 5 range away. So again, the ability to move throughout lanes is super powerful in draft. And if you use it, you will stun and deal 1 damage to whatever units are around you at the end point. So again, kind of like Burrow Strike. So this is really strong ability. And his card is kind of weird. It's a 3-mana spell called Sandstorm. Give enemies 3 decay. So this is really good for like just dealing extra damage to an entire wave, because green has an issue with like they can populate the lane, but they can't really destroy a bunch of units on the lane necessarily. But this one will give 3 decay, so that's pretty nice. It'll take extra damage at the end of the round. And then the weird part is it randomizes the enemy's combat targets, preferring units over the tower. So this could screw you over in some cases. But for the most part, it's meant to kind of save damage from the tower. So you just put extra damage onto a unit. Because again, by default, everything is hitting straight ahead. But this card actually randomizes what the target is. So it's got some RNG in there. Okay, so hopefully I explained the game at a decent rate for you guys. I probably missed some stuff, but that is a lot of it. Again, as I said in the other video that I made, that's more advanced. We'll be having a tournament. I'll be announcing it on tomorrow's podcast. Just keep in mind that the first tournament we do will be invite only. We're only going to have like 8 people play. It's going to be like super high level play. And then if that's successful, we'll have an open tournament, which is much harder to actually organize. But you can look forward to that. That'll be on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/SUNSfan TV. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you're new and this was either helpful or if I went too fast. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, SUNSfan signing out. Goodbye.